improvements like demolishing structures, improving the right-of-way, or any stormwater detention, the village's consulting engineer said that there is not a need to have a separate document. So the final plat of subdivision that Ms. Tsai just presented will serve as both the preliminary and the final plat. The subject property, for a little bit of history, is part of the Fairview Acres subdivision, which was recorded back in 1936. Over the last 90 years, the lots, which are originally in similar size as the subject property, have been split into two, whether they were under the DuPage County jurisdiction or under the villages. And the proposed subdivision is consistent with the area's redevelopment character. As discussed in the staff report, the two lots exceed the minimum lot width, depth, and area requirements in the R3 district, so there's no variance or rezoning associated with this request. And the village's consulting engineer reviewed the plans for compliance with Appendix B, the Land Development Code, and they don't have any outstanding comments or concerns with this plat. As I mentioned, there's no stormwater detention required with this project, but best management practices will be required, and that will be figured out when the building permit is submitted after board approval. That's all for staff, and I'm also available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Are there any comments or questions from the public related to this matter? Okay. Having heard from all interested members of the public, I'm going to close the public comment portion for Planning Zoning Commission 023-2026. No further testimony from the public will be taken then on this matter. Do the commissioners have any comments or questions for the petitioner or staff?
I do. Yeah.
Yep, Mr. Lynn, Commissioner Lynn.
Awesome. So let me see. I'm generally in agreement. I think like with dividing it in half. I had a couple questions maybe for staff. One is that I know you presented. Sorry, and this is for the applicant. I know you presented as like it's a home with an ADU, and maybe this is part to staff though. Is like. To me, when I saw that plan, like it just looked like a house with two kitchens. I didn't.
Well, there is a. I'm sorry, I must have went really quickly.
Is there another exterior door? Because I didn't.
Well, so that could be up for discussion. If that's a requirement from the village, we can look into that. But right now, no. There is a interior separate door, right, for that area. You walk into the front. You walk into the front door, and over here is the entrance into the ADU, or what I call the mother-in-law suite, right? And then with the front door, you just walk in and the main part of the home. But the mother-in-law suite has a small kitchenette, bathroom, bedroom, and a small living room.
Right.
So, but it does not have a separate exterior door. If that is a requirement from the village, we can definitely look into that.
Yeah, I'll clarify that there's not a requirement for there to be a separate exterior entrance. There is one. If there is going to be a separate one, it can't face the street. Only the principal home can. Also clarify that ADUs can be allowed to have multi-generational living, so possibly one family could live in the house and they'll all share the common entrance, but maybe the grandparent or a cousin would just have their own separate dwelling unit. And also to clarify for the subdivision, the houses that were shown in the petitioner's presentation, they're not adopted or approved when the subdivision gets approved. It's just shown for informational purposes, so the commission and the village board have a better idea of what might be built if the subdivision is approved.
Yeah, I was just thinking, is I just hope that during the design that you weren't limited by trying to fall underneath the rules of an ADU. But when personally, maybe the staff would confirm, is that I just saw like a house with two kitchens. It wasn't. I mean, if you want, you could treat it however you want. I just hope that, I know that ADUs has some limitations of like square footage. Does 850 square feet, does it apply to attached ADUs or is that only for detached ADUs?
It would apply to all ADUs. So when if the subdivision is approved and building permits for the homes are submitted, we'll review the area and the location of the entrances and all that when the permit is submitted.
Right, okay.
Right, and like I said, that we can definitely work with the village and make sure that it complies with what you're looking for in terms of building. This is just this is what we're thinking about doing.
Yeah.
And if we have to change it, now I'm okay with changing it.
Yeah, I'm just looking for options to give you even more flexibility in the design of it.
Okay.
It's I'm not harping you at all.
No, that's fine.
Okay. I'm good.
Okay. Commissioner Charleston, are you good?
No, not really. I appreciate your presentation very much. But I will follow up on Commissioner Lin's question, which is, so does that interior dwelling unit, does it meet the technical definition of an ADU, or is it simply part of the area of a main house?
So it would be considered an internal ADU where it's built in conjunction with the home. So it appears from just looking at the plans of, formal plans haven't been submitted with dimensions, so not everything can be verified, but it does look like it meets what an ADU is because it has its own separate cooking and bathing facilities in addition to a bedroom.
So can a main house have 2 kitchens?
Yes, because then it would be technically like an attached ADU, even though technically it's internal. They can have a kitchen for the ADU and then for the principal residence as well.
Because again, I don't have a problem with it. It's funny to me about whether it meets a technical definition of an ADU or if it's just a piece of a house, which again, I don't have any issues with either of them. So, no, thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing 2 beautiful new homes across from Twin Lakes Golf Course. Should be fun.
Commissioner Thomas? Do you have any?
No, I'm good.
No, I have no questions or comments. I like it.
I don't have any as well. If there's no other comments or questions for petitioner staff by the commissioners, do I have a motion for recommending approval on this?
Motion.
Motion Peterson.
Second.
Second Thomas. This would be a motion to recommend to the Village Board of Trustees to approve a request from Sunflower Properties LLC for the property at 53 West 59th Street, Westmont, Illinois 60559 for a preliminary plan of subdivision to subdivide 1 lot into 2 lots in the R3 single unit residential district. So I apologize. Motion, is that your motion, Commissioner Peterson? Mm-hmm. I went out of order. And
That's
seconded
okay.
by Commissioner Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Peterson votes yes. Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Charleston?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Congratulations. I believe staff will give them the next date.
Yeah, that'll be a positive recommendation forwarded to the village board, and it's tentatively scheduled for the September 3rd regular board meeting.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, the next request will be for public hearing PZC 024-2026 for 414 Plaza Drive, Suite 103. Public hearing, I keep going out of order, I'm sorry, I'm reading the bolded part. Public hearing PZC 024-2026, a request from Moraz Music, is that right? Moraz Music LLC and Tulip Rentals LLC for the property at 414 Plaza Street, Suite 103, Westmont, Illinois 60559 for a special use permit to operate an instructional service business for private music lessons in the M Manufacturing District. Invite the petitioner to the podium for the presentation, and actually, you do the presentation first. Please introduce yourself to the...
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dan Moraz. I'm the owner of Moraz Music LLC. Just a little bit background of who I am and what I do. You get that up on the screen.
Jeff, can we have the presentation move to the TV, please? Thank you.
So I've been a private music educator, composer, musician for over 20 years, based right here out of Westmont. I've been a Westmont resident for almost 20 years. Basically, I've always operated out of my home as a sole proprietorship. I recently formed an LLC so that I can get out of my basement and kind of separate home from work a little bit more. Basically, I'm just asking for permission to teach private music lessons out of my office. During the day, the office will be used for administrative things such as marketing, working on a website, emailing, music editing, things of that nature. Music lessons will start at 4 p.m. at the earliest. Generally, I tend to go later in the evening, 6, 7, 8 o'clock is my prime spots for students. By that time, it's a ghost town around there. Most of the businesses clear out by 5 o'clock. In the building that I am in, currently, the owner occupies next door, and then the other units are empty. He also owns those units. So in terms of having the owner's approval, this is something we agreed to before I even signed the lease, which just began on August 1st. There is a precedent for this kind of special use in that complex. Building number 3 has a Irish dance studio in it. My impact will be much less than that. I won't lessons are one-on-one, so as far as traffic goes, it's negligible. Parking, negligible. And then in terms of sound, a saxophone won't make as much sound as speakers and a bunch of girls jumping up and down in time to music. So as far as like a negative impact on the building or the surrounding businesses, again, I think it'd be absolutely negligible. I guess that's pretty much what I got.
It's pretty straightforward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Walsh, you want to lead us on this one?
Yes, thank you. So as the petitioner explained, they're requesting a special use permit to operate an instructional service for primarily one-on-one saxophone lessons in the M District. The subject property is currently improved with 3 single-story office buildings, and the subject unit is located on the north side of the southernmost building. A special use permit approval is required for this type of business in the M District to evaluate the business activities, hours of operation, parking, traffic, to ensure that the proposed use won't have any adverse impacts on its neighbors. The petitioner tends to be the only employee in site, and the lessons will be primarily offered on weekday evenings from 4 to 9 p.m., as I explained, after most businesses are closed. And the room will take place, as it was shown in the attachment to your staff report. It'll be buffered by the petitioner's office, waiting room, and storage, so it should help further mitigate any potential noise impacts on the neighbors, both in this building and across the complex. The entire property contains sufficient parking for the petitioner's operations and other known users. Furthermore, though 4 parking spaces are required for this business by code, the petitioner only intends to use about 2. The special use permit request is compliant with the recommendations of the comprehensive plan for a strong and diversified employment center near Time Warner Park. It's also compliant with the requirements of the zoning ordinance and is subject to the standards of a special use permit approval. The findings of fact have been provided for all the commissioners. I'm happy to go over them if needed. If not, that's all for staff.
Okay, I would now like to invite comments or questions from those in the audience. This is an opportunity for any interested members of the public to address the commission with comments or questions related to this petition. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on this matter? Okay, having heard from all interested members of the public, I will now close the public comment portion for PZC 024-2026. No further testimony from the public will be taken on this matter. And in Chair Carmichael's words, let's go to the commissioners. Does anyone have any questions or? Is that Commissioner Lynn?
Yeah, sorry. Let me see. I know that the immediate, so most of the other units in this building are empty by, say, 4 or 5 o'clock, right?
Well, currently they're actually all vacant because there's no businesses. He's currently remodeling. So these, if you look at the slide here, the owner's office is on this side. And yeah, he's gone by 5. And also he said he literally doesn't care about the sound. We did a sound test before I moved in.
Okay.
He said he can't hear it from his office. He can kind of hear it from the sidewalk. But these adjacent offices are currently vacant and being renovated. And even during the renovation, like I don't hear much in my office as far as the noise goes.
Okay. I know.
But the other businesses in the complex in buildings 2 and 3, most of those clear out by 5 p.m.
You mentioned about an Irish dancing spot. Is that in this building or no?
That's in building 3. That's like in the back of the lot.
So it's a separate building entirely?
Correct.
All right. Yeah. I thought there might be dueling
No.
music.
And they're actually, that building, from what I can see, has businesses in it, and they don't seem to be negatively impacted in any way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I was just curious.
Thank you.
Now, looking forward to the next Kenny G coming out of that one.
All right.
Muddy waters, right?
And you're getting in before anybody else, so anybody else that's coming in, you'll already be there. They will know about you and your lessons in that, and then it can be explained to them how low
Correct.
the noise would be, you know.
Yeah, and that's
so
something my landlord,
you're-
I addressed it with him before I signed the lease.
Right.
That was a concern of mine as well, is I don't want people complaining.
Right.
And he was like, you're here, they'll understand coming in, and if there's issues, like,
You're in
that's
good shape.
between him and them, not between me and anybody else.
Very good. I have nothing else.
No questions or comments. I like it. I love the arts, so glad it's
Appreciate
going to
it.
be in
Thank you.
town. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Nothing as well. That being said, do commissioners have any other comments or questions for petitioner staff? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing for this item. The chair would accept a motion to recommend to the Village Board of Trustees to approve a request from Moreau's Music LLC and Tulip Rentals LLC for the property at 414 Plaza Drive, Suite 103, Westmont, Illinois, 60559, for a special use permit to operate an instructional services business for private music lessons in the M Manufacturing District. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion. Charleston, second. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Thomas. Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Charleston,
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson,
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes?
and Commissioner Peterson votes yes.
Congratulations. I
appreciate the
recommendation coming. And Mr. Walsh will tell you the next date.
Yeah, the positive recommendation will be forwarded to the village board also for the September 3rd regular meeting.
Next request for PZC 025-2026, a request from the Trudy Family LLC. Did I get that right, Trudy? For the property at 430 Plaza Drive, Westmont, Illinois, 60559, for a major site plan for a new loading dock. If you could just introduce yourself so we know who's giving the presentation, or state both your names, and we'll
My
let
name
you
is Mitch
take it away.
Dvorak. I'm the general contractor that'd be helping Great Lakes with this project.
My name's John Devine. I'm the COO of Great Lakes Plumbing and Heating.
Okay.
So Great Lakes is looking to make better use of their property. Their east warehouse right now, they're having trouble getting material from that east warehouse to a flatbed trailer, which you see kind of off to the side here. They have to load through their west warehouse all the way to their east warehouse in inclement weather. So it's been really a challenge getting material onto that flatbed for them. The proposed, on the next slide, is the new pavement, new dock door, and new man door on the north side of the property. Doing this would help increase, site improvements and considerations would help with predictable loading hours, reduced early morning activity, less noise, less time when loading outside of the building. Most importantly, this would help make everything safer. I think, John, you said that there's like a couple of...
Yes, we've had 3 incidences where people got hurt loading trucks out in front through the building. So in the last year. And it's been concerning. It's very difficult, especially in the winter months, I might add. But right now, we're doing it with fork trucks and things of that nature, different rigging equipment, but it's dangerous. And this is a more effective way to do it because we would be able to crane it right over onto the lift, right onto the trucks, right from the building, which would make it less manpower along with a safer operation. A more efficient operation, so it would take a lot less time loading, which is what we're talking about, the noise, because this is going to be a big issue today. We understand it and recognize it. So we want to make sure we mitigate that process. But it is safety, it's a logistics plan for safety and our safety concerns along with our efficiency.
We were definitely planning on planting some new arborvitae to provide a visual as well as somewhat of a sound barrier, even though that might be a little delayed while we wait for those arborvitae to grow. We'll do ongoing maintenance on the barrier fence in between the property and our neighbors to the north, and continuing to focus on the surrounding properties and doing what we can to mitigate sound and anything visual back there. Speaking again to safety, I think that's our biggest concern. Moving material over that distance in the inclement weather, I mean, I keep saying that, but that's pretty much what it boils down to. We have to figure out a way to move and load safer. This project would help us do that. I think John can speak to with the loading in the back and how that would increase efficiency and help reduce the amount of time people are loading in the middle of the parking lot.
I mean, I would say it's going to be about a 75% manpower saving, efficiency saving as far as the company and the labor goes associated with this. With that, with the minimal tasks that we have to do to load from the side of the building out of the building directly, I mean, it takes less men, and it's certainly much more controllable as far as safety goes. And we bring up safety mostly because of the injuries we've already experienced, trying to do it the other way. for our model and what we do here at Great Lakes, it just doesn't work. It really doesn't. So it kind of, if you read the PowerPoint, it kind of says it all. I mean, when people get hurt, it's more important to us than anything else. So we do everything to mitigate that process or create a process that can help the situation, which is what this is about for us.
We have some key neighborhood considerations. John's expressed the fact, or to me, that he wants a partnership with his neighbors. We know we're a construction company. We make noise. It's inevitable. If we can control that during normal business hours, that would be our goal.
We have, I'd like to interact on this a little bit because we have growing pains. When we moved into the building, a couple years past, we ended up moving in the middle of December. We're a pretty big mechanical contracting company, and it was a battle, and it was noisy. And we had small doors, all 9-foot doors to get in and out of the building with all our equipment, all the other things that we needed. And everything was done outside. And boy, I'm sure it was a wake-up call for the neighborhood. It was tough. And come the next spring, we got a permit from Westmont to open the door, a 12-foot, 14-foot door, so we can get material in and out much easier, quicker, faster, again, and safer, right? Having said that, it gave us the ability at this time, because the first 6 to 8 months, we had to load our trucks in the morning every day throughout the winter. Here, when we got the door, we were able to load the trucks, and a lot of this is expensive equipment and things that you can't leave outside, you know, especially in the winter, right? So we ended up getting this door, and we ended up at the end of the day loading the trucks, so the truck doesn't have to idle a long time or load up in the morning, which is, I'm sure the neighbors will attest to that, is not good. So we saved a lot of sound problems from the first year when we got that door installed. And what ended up happening from there, we were able to pull the truck into the building in the morning, start it up in the morning, and pull right out without loading any trucks. Now, it's not perfect. We're a big company. It depends on our schedules, and sometimes there'll have to be a second truck and load it in the morning. And we don't want to load. We start, quite frankly, at 6 to 4 in the morning, and we're trying to mitigate that at this point, coming up with a plan to make it, you know, it's not perfect. Sometimes I got 6 o'clock material that has to get downtown. I mean, I can't promise anything other than that, but you got to tell the truth, right? I mean, be honest with everybody about this, but the whole thing is to try to do it more efficiently and work together with everybody to what we can do and help. You know, but we are never here after 4 o'clock, very seldom in the afternoon, and Saturdays, we probably may work between 5 and 10 Saturdays a year. And on those Saturdays, is rare that there'd be more than would be any truck driving. It'd just be warehouse work inside. So, but we're trying our best as far as that goes. But this project is very important to us so that we can do what we have to do to be safe and, you know. But we want to work with the neighbors. We understand they're probably upset, and I think trying to put myself in their position, quite frankly. And I'd be there sitting in those chairs with them, possibly. But the fact remains is that we are business, and I really need to do this project. It's the only part of the whole property that we can expand on. There's not another spot here because of the retention zone in the back of the property. And this part is this is the only way we'd be able to do it. And if we couldn't do the civil part of it, as far as the retainage was designed, we probably wouldn't have been able to do the project at all. But like I said, that's how I feel about it. I wanted to bring this into our presentation straightforward, so you know how we feel and what we can do. And I'm working daily, and I could sit and talk to everybody and partner with them. We don't want to be the enemy of the neighbor. We're not the enemy, but we are a construction company, and we have a business to run, unfortunately, and that's what I have about that.
Understood. Anything else?
No, I think
Okay.
That's our presentation. If you'd like to see we saw the drawings, or do we have the full set?
They all have a copy of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have it in the slideshow.
I'd like to invite Mr. Williams. Are you doing the staff report for this?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Chair. This request is for 430 Plaza Drive. If you don't know where that property is, it's one of the further down properties on Plaza Drive. So we just talked about the music school that made the request. It's a little farther down east from that property. The request from the petitioners for a major site plan approval for a new loading dock, and then some other improvements they're making that I'll get into in a second. But so some of the issues we run into that are somewhat unique to Westmont is we have a large manufacturing district that neighbors single-family homes, which normally in zoning you want some separation there. This predates a lot of our plans and records at the village level for how it was implemented back then. But I like to mention that because the interaction between the single-family homes and the manufacturing district is something that staff looks at and tries to mitigate as we get proposals in front of us. So the building itself is about 52,000 square foot industrial building. They have a parking lot on that west side of the building, and they also have loading bays on the west side of the building in their parking lot as well. The petitioner also mentioned that a loading dock was added not too long ago on that west side as well, on the building closest to the parking lot. The building that they're proposing to add a loading dock to is on the east side. There's a little, if you see in the plans, there's a little carve out from the building, and they're proposing to add a loading dock bay door, and then also a pedestrian entrance towards the north as well. And those should be in some of the architectural plans that you have in front of you. So related to the site improvements and the use of the property, the overall use that's operating there is a building service use, is what we call it in the zoning ordinance, which is a permitted use in that zoning district. So this isn't a special use request where we sometimes place conditions on uses because they have special unique circumstances. The underlying use of the property is permitted by right in the manufacturing district. It just happens to be next to a single family zoning district in the R3 district to the north. This particular request raised the level of a major site plan approval and can be done administratively. We believe the staff reserves, the zoning administrator, which is technically my director, reserves the right to raise any site plan that might have impacts to a major site plan level. In addition to the other improvements I'll get into in a second, there's kind of some moving pieces here between engineering, landscaping, and then the architectural plans that are being proposed on the site. I mentioned the bay door on the northern end of the building, and then the entrance with the stairs on the north end of the building, north facade, facing the single-family homes. There's also an improvement of the asphalt area. So there's about just under 4,000 square feet of asphalt being added here, plus about 2,600 square feet of concrete near the bay door. Usually when you're loading trucks, you have concrete in front instead of asphalt. Just takes the impact a bit better, lasts a bit longer. In addition to that, there's also retaining, I believe it's a wood wall, timber wall, on the north end, separating from this grass area to those single-family homes. In that portion, that grass strip, it's about 5 feet in width. The petitioner is proposing to add some evergreen shrubs or evergreen trees at the request of staff to help mitigate the impacts to those single-family homes. That is not a code requirement. We do not have a requirement in our code for that buffer area, since it's not considered part of the parking lot, and their distance from the loading bay door is not defined as a loading zone, so we do not have requirements for landscape buffering there. They are doing that voluntarily. In addition to some of those other, some of the improvements they're doing there, there's also several engineering improvements that they're doing at the request of our engineer. So one of those is, you'll notice in some of the plans, there's a call out for an easement along that property line for stormwater and utility. You'll see there's a large stormwater area in the front of this property to the east. That captures a lot of the stormwater, and it drains right now. There's some broken asphalt to the north where they're proposing the new asphalt that kind of is an inlet for the water sheeting off and going into that stormwater facility on the east side of the property. They're proposing to add some additional inlets, and when they're flattening this asphalt and concrete area, they're adding some inlets. And they're also improving the stormwater detention base with some vegetation, naturalizing it a bit. Right now it's mostly just grass, largely at the request of our engineer. The staff engineer also noted that they can make requests to change the utility and drainage easement that's currently on the property. That's usually done at the permitting phase, if the engineer's okay with it to be done. So it can be manipulated, vacated, and then rededicated so it aligns better with where the stormwater inlets are. So that would have to be done at permitting if the proposal is approved and moves forward to the permitting process. So the request itself for the loading bay door meets all setbacks requirements for a loading zone. From where we take the measurements, it's basically from that building wall to the property line, so it meets the bulk standards there. Technically, since there's no landscape requirement, it also meets the landscaping code requirements. And then the additional improvements from the engineer, they determine that it's feasible for this project to come out of the ground with those changes that they're recommending, as outlined in the staff report. I'm happy to answer questions. If you need me or our village attorney to discuss anything related to site plan approvals and kind of the criteria and measurements we use for site plan approvals, we can also get into that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams. If you guys could just have a seat, what I'd like to do is invite comments and questions from those in attendance. From the audience. This is an opportunity for any interested members of the public to address the commission with any comments or questions. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? So a couple people, and you got everyone signed in, right? If we'd like to begin with you, ma'am, you want to step up? Yeah, closest. And if you could just make sure to state your name.
Sure. My name is Vicki O'Pierre. This is my husband, Peter. We've been residents of Westmont since June of 2012, living at 441 Philadelphia Avenue in the Oakwood subdivision, plot 306, right behind Great Lakes Plumbing. I'm here today to discuss how this disruption of having Great Lakes behind my house has been for my family and I, and why approving their proposal will increase the issues we already have. When I had a newborn, Great Lakes Plumbing moved in, and it's been nothing but noise and disruption outside of normal business hours. Trying to sleep train a baby with constant noise was not great. My son is older now and still wakes up as soon as he hears the trucks behind our house, which is sometimes as early as 5 a.m. This morning, it was 6:03. In the wintertime, the idling of the trucks is quite loud and echoes loud enough that our neighbors across the street can hear it. In 2023, my husband was recovering from surgery, and the constant noise, either late at night or very early in the morning, was detrimental to his recovery because he was lacking the one thing he needed, and that was rest. Yes, we are the ones that have called the police at numerous times throughout the years, along with some of our other neighbors, because the noise has been so loud, it's either kept us up or woke us up. One evening, a paving company was there to pave their lot at 11:30 p.m. at night. We had to call the police, who came there and told them they were not allowed to do any type of work like that late at night. The paving company was not happy because they were just doing their job. However, that's clearly not a reasonable time. We stopped having our bedroom windows open or even entertaining because the noise has been so loud, even sometimes on the weekends. My teenage daughter doesn't open her windows either due to the noise or the smell of the fumes sometimes that's lingering from the trucks after they've been idling. She's afraid that the workers can see into her room. We didn't ask for the company to be here. We've lived in our house for years prior to this, completely noise-free. This is not like we moved here knowing the company backed up to our fence, because believe me, if that was the case, I would have never moved into my home. I'm just asking to reconsider the approval of the project to figure out possibly another plan that doesn't involve being 4 feet away from our fences. Taking some information from the proposal per section 1505 of the zoning ordinance, the village's zoning administrator maintains the authority to elevate an administrative site plan to a major site plan review if the development could result in negative impacts on adjacent properties. This is going to be a negative impact. They also noted in their proposal that all not required by code, the petitioner has proposed 8 arborvitae trees in addition to the existing 6-foot solid wood fence to aid in reducing noise and visual impacts on the single-family homes in the north. Well, I'm one of the homes that actually has very tall arborvitae trees along with that fence, and it hasn't done anything to reduce the noise. I would just ask to please reconsider approving this proposal and look into another alternative of placement for this loading dock. Thank you very much.
Sir, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. My name is Heidi Bajik. I'm here with my husband, Louis. We live at 449 Philadelphia Avenue, plot 308 of the design proposed plans. If you look, it's directly behind where they intend to install the loading dock bay. We moved to Oakwood subdivision in 2019, planning to raise our family and grow old in this beautiful community of Westmont. We met with the owners of Great Lakes to discuss their proposal. At first, it sounded reasonable. Privacy trees, only working during hours of operation, minimal noise. They mentioned my neighbors, Vicky and Peter, had called the police multiple times for noise complaints, with Great Lakes simply brushing off their concerns. After speaking with my neighbors, including Ray and Tricia, who will speak throughout plot 307, I'm further concerned of the daily and life-changing effect that this will have on my life. Great Lakes has stated that they will maintain operations of the proposed addition only during business hours. We can speak to the multiple occurrences that loud and disruptive work has been completed in the early morning, overnight, or weekend hours. I have 2 young children, one of whom is autistic. It is quite literally impossible to regulate a 6-year-old with autism when loud pipes are being loaded in and out of trucks at all hours of the day. Vicky and Peters mentioned they still struggle with the after effects of sleep training their 6-year-old or their 7-year-old with those noise violations. Have you ever tried to calm a screaming infant with the Mario Brothers throwing around pipes in your backyard? At present state, Great Lakes has viewing access to our backyard, not to mention the security cameras that were placed without our knowledge in the direction of my private home space. Since Great Lakes moved in and became my neighbor, we have voiced safety concerns regarding the deteriorating fence that lines our property. Their response, in a fence that is quite literally falling apart, was a few 4x4s. They installed floodlights on the same side of the proposed truck door, with lights so bright that at midnight you could read a newspaper in your kitchen at midnight with no trouble. The proposed addition of a truck bay as well as pedestrian doorway bring the same light disturbances concern as the proposal indicates lighting over both doors. We are requesting that you reconsider location of the proposed truck door to the industrial side versus the residential side of the building, or a sound-reducing privacy wall, similar to those near major roadways or other business infrastructures in the area, as well as maintaining the law and upholding violations for work done outside of those business hours. I voice much frustration and little optimism about any changes that to come, as Great Lakes has not been maintaining a pleasant and nuisance-free environment that is compatible with nearby residential and business uses. With the proposed changes only 4 feet from my property line, I'm hoping you look at your own home, your own safe space, and question if you'd want the industrial property doing the same thing behind your home. Great Lakes makes great promises, but they can't hold up their end of the bargain. My home value, privacy, and safety of my children is at risk with the proposal at current state. Please remember the Westmont community, the long-term neighbor relationship, and reconsider approving their proposal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello. My name is Ray Fredericks, and I am a Westmont and Oakwood resident since 2001. I live at 445 Philadelphia Avenue, which is lot 307, directly behind Great Lakes Plumbing. I do have concerns with the plan to put in a new loading dock and side access door so close to my house. Great Lakes Plumbing has more than a few issues with noise complaints from the residential area behind them, as you've heard here. If this permit goes through, the noise of trucks loading and unloading will only be 4 feet away from that back fence, not to mention the added intrusive lighting over both doors. Yes, I do know the reality of living behind a business. I lived behind InterVarsity Press for 19 years without incident. I understand that there'll be truck traffic throughout the day along with the usual noises of general business. In contrast, Great Lakes Plumbing loading and unloading is just loud and intrusive. By its very nature, large industrial pipes are noisy. I mean, I get that. I've tried working with them. I talked to them, But anyway, also large metal objects get tossed in a dumpster at times that shake the very foundation of my house. I've actually come out to actually just remind the workers that there's a residential area behind, because like I said, the whole foundation shook. Trucks idle before allowable work hours as they stage and load up their vehicles for the day. This intrusion will negatively affect me and my family's well-being and the loss in property value of my house. It betrays the zoning analysis you were speaking of. It is not pleasant and it is not nuisance-free. There needs to be written and approved restrictions on the hours and days of usage that protect me and my neighbors, along with any penalties for not adhering to such. There's got to be a compromise, right? And next, can they speak to why they cannot put a bay door on the southeast side of the property off Plaza Drive away from the residential area? There's enough room for 2 bay doors, one for a flatbed and another for smaller trucks to stage and load their trucks as early as they want without disturbing the residents behind it. I haven't had much time, but I just did a real quick sketch showing that yes, it would go over part of the retention area, but then you could always take that area behind to the north and have that be part of the new water retention. So I just don't come here with problems, I try to come here with solutions. And then, my last concern is I have a very large and mature silver maple that abuts right up to the property line by the fence. And according to GLP's landscape requirements and sections 1004 through 1006 of Westmont's Article 10 Tree Preservation and Landscaping Code, a protective fence is to be erected at least 1 foot past a tree's drip line or a minimum of no closer than 5 feet to the trunk. So I just want to show you, I've got here a superimposition of Google Maps, which, superimposition of Google Maps over their plot line, and you can see I've taken the circumference of the drip line of that back maple. You can see how far it extends over. Well, even at that point, the village states that root zones should not be disturbed or heavy machinery be driven upon them. And as you can see, my tree's drip zone extends well onto GLP's property. So what I want to know is, will a protective fence be put up to protect my entire tree's root zone in that construction area? By the landscaper's own admission, they cannot come to within 5 feet of the trunk at minimum, which makes coming within 4 feet of the fence line a foot too close. I think by looking at this, 15 feet is more realistic if the root zone is to be protected. So, if this moves forward and if any of the roots are disturbed, cut, driven upon, which ends up killing or weakening the tree. I feel that both GLP and the Village of Westmont should be liable for any damage to it. So I ask you to not approve this proposal as it stands. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mahar Kudari. I live at 437 Philadelphia Avenue. I have been living there since May of 2023. I want to go to the subject right away, basically. So, as Ray said, this really doesn't make any sense to have any trucks going through our neighborhood. We're already having noise problems, trucks coming really early in the morning, really late at night. So, as Mr. Ray said, why they don't use the 12-foot door that they used before to go inside the building to load all their material? Why do they have to open up another dock? That's a question. Why Westmont approved the 12-foot door dock when they're going to open another one later on? The other idea I had is basically all this industrial area. So they can open up the doors right here. As you can tell, all the houses right here. There's a lot of echo. And I'm hoping that you guys don't approve this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this matter? Okay, having heard from all interested parties and members of the public, I will now close public comment portion for PZC 02520.
Actually, before you do that, there were some questions asked, and I think they're entitled to answers from the petitioner.
Sure.
To the extent the petitioner can answer questions, and I know I just quickly took notes. I don't know if Scott or others have notes, but I know one question was, is it possible to put this new loading dock at a different location on the property? One was a question about, I guess, a voluntary willingness to limit hours, or maybe a question to the village, whether the village can limit hours, and then a question about tree protection.
I think John can speak better to a couple of those things than I can.
As far as the relocation off of the road, Plaza Drive, and backing into that loading dock all the way across the space here, the amount of retention zone and trees there would be affected as well. But that whole civil plan would be it would be a problem in the storm.
Engineering that.
The engineering that. So that wasn't even a consideration. It probably wouldn't be approved at all because it wouldn't be
water, storm
because of the water. The answer to the tree, the silver oak tree. I met out there with the arborist in detail because I was concerned about the tree. I wanted to take a real good look at it, and we looked at the tree root line, the drip line as well, as Ray put it, but there's minimal problems with that tree as far as what's happening with the root line as it is. The tree goes down into the retention area, the drainage area, the storm retention, and you can't see the roots down there. It's below. I think there's asphalt on it now from the previous owner. And they did that, and there's going to be where we're going to be digging, there's going to be minimal root. We have to trim the roots on the bottom, and he said that the tree would be fine. And by lifting the tree, you'll have to cut some branches on that side of the tree in order to pull in and out of that area, and that would be fine as well, based on his opinion. I think he noted it on the drawings. I was really clear about that, how this is gonna have an effect on that tree. And I will stand here and tell you, if something happened to that tree, Great Lakes Plumbing and Heating, not the village, would be more than happy to plant a new tree, tear it down if it needed, pay all the costs for whatever it is for that. I mean, we don't believe there'll be a problem with the tree at all, but if there is, we take responsibility for it, not the village. As far as what was the other question? Sorry.
I think there's a question about limiting hours of operation because there's operations either really early in the morning or really late at night.
And that's a fair question. And I'm meeting now. I knew this was all coming, so I'm meeting now the dumpster issue. That's going to be mitigated.
The scrap metal dumpster.
The scrap metal dumpster, I agree with them that they were throwing, so I think it was Saturday, is in the morning, and they got, let's just say my employees got notified very quickly from me about that. It was not right. I give you that. And it is metal to metal. I can't stand here and tell you there's not going to be any noise. There's going to be noise if we don't do this, and there's going to be the same amount of noise, or my job is to mitigate it. My promise is to try to mitigate it the best we can. This gives us the ability to, the trucks aren't loading, there's not as much noise.
Faster.
It's faster, it's quicker, it's easier, and it's easier to schedule out of the building with all the operations. Coming through our entire building affects the whole front end warehouse part of that shipping and receiving area. And we have to just go whatever time we get to get in and out of there. The whole back end of the building, the east warehouse, can be tightly scheduled. And there won't be, I know for a fact that we don't load that warehouse in the morning, ever. That's always done in the afternoons. And it can be scheduled. It's not like it's every day there's stuff coming out. There will not be activity in that. There could be 2 months and not one truck pulls into that area. Depends on how much product we need to move out of there based on our construction schedules. It's a construction business. It's a fabrication application. So if there's nothing happening in there, we've had 2 or 3 months where we have nobody even working in there. That means nothing's going in and nothing's coming out. So it's not like it's going to be the main loading docks. There's trucks, deliveries coming in and out of the building all day long. No question about it. We're a big company, and a lot of it's piping materials. A lot of it's equipment, mechanical equipment, ductwork. There's all sorts of applications, but...
One other question that was raised that I forgot. One of the neighbors asked, would you consider a taller sound attenuating fence, I think was the word that was used.
And I actually respect that, but that is actually not a feasible option. That's not going to mitigate any noise. That will not. This isn't, even on a tollway, you can hear the cars going past it, right? That's not going to stop anything. The cost...
cost value might not.
The cost for that is phenomenally, it's more than the whole project.
And there are limits as to fence height in the village. I think it's 7 feet.
It would be 7 feet in this district, yeah.
In this
the current
district.
fence is 6 foot.
Yeah. So to go any higher would require a variance, which would be a new public hearing for something like that. As far as the tree preservation and landscaping requirements, that's found in Chapter 80 of the Village Code of Ordinances. That's not a chapter that this commission, it's not within their purview. This commission only deals with zoning and subdivision issues. That's the village forester's job and public works job when someone comes in for a permit to make sure that all the tree preservation requirements are complied with. So that's something I think the homeowners and more importantly the applicant will have to make sure they keep an eye on and follow when you're actually doing the work and applying for your permit.
Understood.
Any other questions from the general public?
Can you please come to the microphone?
Guys, can you have a seat? Can you
Thank
please
you.
come up to the microphone and say your name, ma'am?
Sorry.
Hi, my name is Tricia Fredericks, and I live at 445 Philadelphia Avenue, of course, backing up to the property. And what I wanted to ask is, could we just have some sort of feasibility study about relocating this loading dock to the business side of the business district and see what that entails? I know it's probably an engineering, concern, everything else, but could we possibly explore that before we give a rubber stamp to this proposal? Thank you.
Scott, I'll defer to you, right?
Yeah, Scott, that would be a question.
So typically, when we get a project proposal in front of us, and we go through our review phase, is when it's reviewed by various departments and divisions. We typically look at the case that's before us and what the improvements are. So staff did not take a look in our review for looking at other directions for the bay door based on the proposal. I know there's detention over there. I don't know, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a landscape architect either. I don't know where those boundaries are for the detention and how deep it has to be and how far it needs to be away. I know there's a significant grade on that side where the detention is. So I can't say for certain. We usually leave it up to the developer if they want to provide a different proposal for us to review in those circumstances. Usually the village will review it and make a recommendation based upon it, if there's an A and B option.
However, there is an option for this commission if you feel like another alternative should be studied maybe a little more carefully to postpone this request, have the village engineer look at it and have, more importantly, the applicant's engineer look at it and provide something in writing to the commission as to whether placing this new loading dock on different side of the building is even feasible. Just throwing it out. You don't have to, but it's an option.
The only thing I will say related to that, as we get more into construction time, we're nearing the end of construction season, especially with asphalt plants and that type of thing. So anytime you're delaying a project that may not even be approved in the end, I like to just mention it at this level. So that you're aware of those timelines. One of the major things that we run into, even with projects that were already just approved, they run out of time for the construction season since we're in a seasonal climate. But regardless, if the commission feels it's necessary, we will move forward with the recommendation.
And as far as hours of operation, the village doesn't have in its code of ordinances any restriction on a business's operating hours. The village does have restrictions on construction, times for construction. So you can't have construction work occurring after 8 o'clock p.m. and I think before 6 or 7 a.m. But normal business operations, the village doesn't restrict that. The village does have performance standards relating to noise, and that's noise that escapes past the property line of a certain decibel level. Exempt from that would be things like safety noises from a truck backing up or the normal automobile noises that a truck can make pulling in, pulling out. Throwing metal into a dumpster, again, someone would have to be there with the noise meter to capture that to determine if it's a violation, if that's something that's happening frequently enough. I don't think it's feasible for the village to post someone there for a week straight with a noise meter waiting for a loud noise to occur. But again, open to suggestions on that.
We do have lighting standards. I know one of the homeowners brought up about the lighting. Don't we have lighting standards where it can't go on to?
Scott?
I can better speak to it. So we do have lighting requirements. Typically, with these type of proposals, we review that at permitting for the light to be within our standards. We have light level requirements when it's boarding residential. It can't be above 0.5 foot candles past the property line, and that is dependent on a whole host of exemptions related to that. So typically, if it's under a certain lumen level, then it's not required. A lot of the floodlights you see in residential properties, like on garages that are time-based, usually are exempt in those situations, and on some commercial properties it would be the same. So I don't know off the top of my head without having the exact specs on the lights and everything. Usually at permitting, we get that resolved.
And I know that applies to new lights that are going in as part of new construction.
Not
For
existing.
existing lights, you know, sometimes you have lights that have been there for 30 years, and the village doesn't regulate those.
Yeah, the lighting codes, we approved them with the zoning ordinance update in 2025, so it's a whole set of new regulations.
Is there, ready to go on this, all right. Having heard from all interested members of the public, anyone else? Okay, I'll now close the public comment portion for PZC 25-2026. No further testimony from the public will be taken on this matter. And let's go to the commissioners for any commissioner comments or questions for the petitioner or staff. We'll start off, Commissioner Thomas, you want to start us off?
As far as the noise going, and what would be needed from, if you're saying that it's harder for the village to keep an eye on the noise level or possible infractions of the noise laws, what would keep residents, what would the residents need equipment-wise to determine that there was a violation of the noise? Is that too much for...
So I'm going to speak as also, I'm not the code enforcement director or manager. Typically what happens is when we get a complaint on a property through the 311 program, usually we have a code enforcement officer go out to the property and inspect to see if it's in compliance or not. With noise and light, it's difficult at the code enforcement level to make those to see if they are out of those performance standards. And
You got to be there at the right time.
Yeah, so it can be difficult, and they have to. We do have certain tools that we have in our office that can get the sound levels and light information as well. That can be used to determine that, but like I said, it's difficult when it's happening sometimes, not all the time.
What would they have to do as far as residents and have their complaint measured in a way that is acceptable? You know, what tools would they need for
I'll say
noise?
this, residents can't prove a violation. They can give evidence of what they think is a violation, so they could buy a sound decibel reader and stand at the property line and measure the sound.
Right.
Again, it's got to be a frequent recurring sound, not an infrequent sound for it to constitute a violation. And
So
it's gotta be-
they have to have that logged, the frequency and the level, before they can come to us or as a village.
Or they can just complain about the noise and see if the village will come out and do it. But the village can't write up a violation based on evidence of a noise violation that a neighbor takes using their own
Right, they have to
sound
come
meter.
out. And they have to be there at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be
Also.
calibrated, and yeah, it gets a little difficult.
Does the village even have that equipment?
It does have a
Decibel reader.
decibel meter
It does?
reading device that the police department and I think liquor enforcement uses occasionally.
Okay. They use it occasionally, so for other businesses.
Yeah, I'm only aware of it being used with, let's say, live music blasting out of an open window from a bar or something. I'm not familiar whether it's ever been used for general business noise.
I think we've used it before for mechanical equipment noise.
Like
at a
generators?
Yeah, generators and fans, if I remember correctly. And I don't think it ever raised to a violation level for that type of thing, but
Well,
that's hearsay. I wasn't involved.
One of the residents was raising his hand. I don't know if is that still okay?
Well, hold on. Let Commissioner Thomas keep going with his, and then, you know what I'm saying, so that we don't jump around here.
No, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, you want to follow up here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. A couple questions. Is it, compared to the grade that's shown in one of these pictures, you have a picture of the back of the property. Does the grade drop even more when you do when you put in this dock? And that's a question to the applicant.
The pavement that we're proposing to put in?
Yeah, I see this picture here where you have looking at the.
So right now, there's actually some asphalt there that goes into retention right now that brings the water back towards the east side of the property. So we are actually planning on paving that, putting manholes in that pavement to carry the storm water back around to the enlarged bowl for retention on the west side, or east side of the property, excuse me.
And the bowl is going to be raised in the backside another foot, I believe.
Enlarging the retention on the east side to accommodate. But it does go down there, yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
That's pretty well.
So does that grade go down any further than what's shown there, or no?
Not much.
The new grades, no.
Not in that area, no.
Sure. I was just curious.
But I believe in the detention area, it goes further down on the east side of the building.
It does.
Yeah.
Okay. You said about a wood retaining wall, I think you said?
There's an existing 6x6 timber retaining wall on the parking lot as is now. So we were going to carry that through a little bit where the asphalt pavement.
Can you gesture to that map that's there?
It's right here.
Yeah, so it starts new. The blue line would be the new timber retaining wall. And at some point it turns to a concrete curb and funnels the water into retention.
Okay, is that just existing to remain then? Is that what you said?
The existing 6x6 retaining wall will remain, and we will be adding on to it, and I believe it's like 25 feet.
How tall is that retaining wall?
We actually start the project past the existing retaining wall. We just extend it at that point.
The retaining wall is probably less than 36 inches.
Yeah.
It's not the
I want to clarify, it's not the fence you're speaking about?
No.
No.
Retaining wall.
If you look at if you see
Trying
here,
to zoom in here. I can't.
if you look at the plans that are shown on the screen right now, there's a purple faint line to the west. That's the existing, and then if you go to the east, there's this blue line that he's marking out. That is the new.
Actually, if you look at the chair rail here on the wall,
36.
right here.
Yeah.
This is the retaining wall. If you go to the property right now, staying there, and it goes up to the neighbor's house from here.
Okay.
Their grade is up here right now.
Property to the north.
That makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
To give you an idea.
So
That retaining wall will be about that high, and then it'll be 4 feet. The fence.
okay, and that's a wood retaining wall or concrete?
Part of it's wood and there's going to be a short part of wood, and then when you get to the concrete, it'll be a concrete curb.
It'll taper down to a curb.
Okay.
At the concrete portion of the project, that'll be a concrete curb at that end.
I'm just wondering if it's going to be a concrete retaining wall, because like when you get to about 36 inches tall of like holding back girth, then it should be a structurally engineered retaining wall.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, which would be a requirement by our engineer.
Right, that's a requirement.
Yes.
Okay. Is there going to be a canopy over this or no?
No.
I mean, I see the line for the easement, the public utility and drainage easement. I thought easements are recorded with the county, and
Correct.
And can you pave on top of that?
Yes, in many circumstances, many actual residential properties, their driveways are in easements. But in this case, the engineer, we take in what are called vacation plats to vacate easements, and then we would record a new easement depending on what that requirement would be by the engineer. So it's all determined by our staff engineer on what is required and isn't required. A lot of these existing easements in the older properties in town aren't really up to standard for what we would require now. Some of them are over and beyond what would be required now and what we would need. So usually that's done permitting when we vacate easements with the permit. So they wouldn't get the permit until the easement situation is sorted out.
You guys could sort out, say, the civil engineering aspect, like to the drainage part of that easement, but say the public utility, can you do retaining walls inside a public utility easement?
Typically, it's up to our engineer and it's circumstantial. So sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. We allow fences and easements, for example. Usually if it's a building, we do not allow them.
Right.
Sometimes in certain cases, we have identification forms that have to be filled out for certain structures. So it just depends on the situation. I believe the engineer is normally okay with retaining walls.
When you say engineer, though, that's specifically civil engineering.
That's our staff engineer.
Right. Does that have anything? And I could be wrong. Whenever I think of public utility easement, I think of ComEd, NICOR, like utilities.
They usually have access to it, yeah.
And do they have any issues with retaining walls on their easements? Do you know?
I'm not going to speak for the utilities, so I cannot answer that.
Okay. Let me see. I know that the applicant was suggesting, or you guys were saying about putting arborvitaes on that small easement that's there. I don't know if say the 4 feet is enough to do for the root structure of those. I'm not a landscape person, but whatever's discussed here, even if they were to say, oh, we definitely will. I mean, is there how is it required then in building permitting, like to say that they hold their word?
So I'll just mention our landscape architect who reviews these as a third party said 4 to 5 feet should be adequate space for them, depending on their size and spacing between each other as well. For site plan approvals, we adopt the landscape plan and the site plan with ordinance. So even though it's not a code requirement that they have to have the evergreens, since they're providing it and in the public hearing presented it that way, if it gets to the village board and is approved, it would be attached to the ordinance with the site plan approval. So they would have to maintain it in perpetuity.
Okay. Have there been any violations in the past with this with Great Lakes as far as like storage, outside storage with things?
When I searched our system, I did not see any active violations. I can't speak to the previous violations if there were any. The owner might know more than I do regarding that.
I thought. Does the village have issues with exterior storage for? I thought there was. No.
Yeah, typically we do not allow outdoor building material storage, which is what I'm assuming you're referring to. Right. They have to be enclosed. Now there are times when there's pickup and drop off or of building material in circumstantial situations when there's deliveries. They can deliver it through the outside section, hold it for a second, and get it on the truck. In those circumstances, it's allowed, but outdoor storage materials, just related to the use itself, is not permitted.
Maybe that's a question then for the applicant, or can I ask, have there been violations in the past for outdoor storage?
We have not had any violations that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
I'll sit here and tell you the truth. That's what it's all about, right? We do.
You know what, sir, do me a favor, come up to the microphone.
We do sometimes have a load of pipe that we have to put off to the side so we can clear the building in the minute to get it inside. But it's short term, very short term. It's not storage. Mm-hmm. It'll be just short term movement of it. So it could be like an overnight.
Would it be fair?
It happens very seldom.
Would it be fair to say that you're using the west side of the property to stage that material?
No, just it's right next to the dock.
Okay.
And it goes into the building.
But so you're leaving it outside effectively to stage that material so that
it's a stage.
So
yes.
so that it can be picked up.
Right. It's not. I guess it's not storage. Thank you.
Let me see. And the okay. maybe a couple of things. One, about the, say, the east end of the property, where there's a retention area right now. I know that the applicant, I think you said, I believe you said, that the civil probably won't approve of, like, manipulating that, but that's, whenever I think of things about civil engineering, I just think that, just like a building, that things could be manipulated, that the retention ponds could be made deeper, you could do retention vaults, it's not, I think it's too quick to say that we can't, that nothing can be done on different parts of the property, when I think retention ponds are, just like to modifying a building, retention ponds could also be modified. So that's just one thought of mine. Something that kind of goes against that idea is that then we might only be bringing more sound to the townhouses that are to the east of the property. Like, so that I almost want you to put keep all your noise between your building and Plaza Drive, but you also have neighbors to your east as well, like which kind of stings. It's let me see. How about? I mean, I don't know the floor plans of your building, and this would take studies to figure it out, I'm sure. But say, like, my eye is focused on like the inside corner between your one-story commercial building and your tall one-story brick and concrete building. Is there a garage door at that location? Would that help at all? Because of course, I'm trying to keep sound and any activity away from your property lines as much as I can. Do you know where I'm talking about? Go to your left. Right around there. Like that inside corner of your whole complex.
Yeah, that's the electrical vault and all of that.
It's not just a panel, that that whole.
No, it's transformers. Well, yeah, the mechanical of the building are along this whole wall.
This is the entryway to the warehouse.
Yeah.
Right here. That's the door in the warehouse. All of this here is all mechanical.
Sprinkler rooms, all that.
The electrical. Generators, electrical, everything's there. The power and the gas come in.
Commissioner Lynn, do you mind if I jump in with you real quick? Because I'm struggling with bringing more noise in an area that's contained on two sides, closer to the residents, and I share the same concern. Even if somehow we did it to the east, now we've got townhouses, so you got residential north and east, and we've got manufacturing west and south. And again, a lot of this deals with just long-term planning over the years, but if I'm reading this correctly, right, so if you look at the back page, the warehouse, so let's just call them three buildings, northeast, west, and south. The northeast warehouse, where you're proposing the dock door, that's open to the west warehouse, right? You can walk through those buildings.
Not completely open, there's
So these areas here,
Yeah,
those three spots, can you transport the stuff from this building into here?
that's what we're doing now.
Okay.
That's what the problem is.
Does it impact you, or does it benefit you to adding additional warehouse doors where there currently are, and widening that? Essentially, can we move the parking that's here to here, and then expand your dock doors so that none of these neighbors, because I've got 4 neighbors that are all adjacent to where you're proposing this work, and I can see I know the echoing that you're going to get, so I don't think they're wrong, and I understand what you're doing. I respect it. You're operating within the zoning use, and I understand their concerns as well, and it's not just them, but who the future people will be as well. The struggle that I'm having here is, can we simply expand the concrete pavement and go further south, add a dock door there, and then simply move the parking that we would see here so that it's on the north side? Because if you're telling me, I want to make sure I understand this, you're lower than they are. So if you have passenger cars that are pulling in, even if they have lights, their lights, barring a really tall car, are going to be hitting that berm or the landscape, right? So and maybe I'm wrong, and they can jump in, or at least give me I'm on the wrong page. But my thought is I'd rather move this entire stall of passenger vehicles, customer, employees, whatever it is, to the north side, right? Allow you to concrete it and get the storm sewers or whatever we need to move the water, and then allow you to expand here so that it's further south with an additional dock door, if necessary, and if it needs to be the larger one. What I'm trying to do is get rid of this here so that I don't have a truck
We'll
backing
never be able to get the trucks in that dock.
into this dock.
If I expand this dock out, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Can I see, come up
If I
and,
expand it out, we'll never be able to get the semis in there and the trucks in there to get into the dock.
can I see where you're pointing?
Yeah, do they have this?
Yeah,
Here, go on that one, just so that I'm sorry, I'm doing it so that the, Jesus, residents can see as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm proposing, and commissioners, just so we're all on the same page, what I'm proposing is on, I don't know what page this would be considered. What I want to do is move this all to up here.
The parking?
Yeah, because these aren't trucks, these are passenger cars, put them all here. And now they'll have much more room to come to the south. And let the trucks back in here, they're clearly doing it here.
There is a big overhead.
That's what I was wondering, where he was talking about, where is the electrical and sprinkler room and stuff.
Can I get up to me?
What's happening is that would defeat the purpose of the project, and it's right. We're trying to get this directly out of the the east building, right onto the trucks. Here, we still have to haul everything out into the front and do the same thing.
But every truck that goes there is going to have to back up over that entire length, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
but
you're asking
instead of-
for.
It's 5 men and fork trucks trying to load the truck out in the park.
No, I understand that, I'm just,
But wouldn't with the new loading dock that he's suggesting, a semi would back up to that loading dock and you'd load it directly into the semi?
They'd have to be craned in there, but I have to still bring it out of the building, all the way out of the building on carts, instead of right out of the door, right under the truck.
well, for this building, I'm talking, for the building all the way to the east, yes. I want to make sure we're saying the same thing. You'd still be moving whatever's in that east building to the west building, okay? But see the parking just below your finger? Go down, those 16 spots that are right there?
Yeah.
I'd be proposing eliminating that and moving it all to where you're proposing to adding the driveway.
There's a dock door there right now. You don't see it on there.
There's not a dock, it's an overhead door.
It's an overhead door, but not a dock.
To pull a truck in, load.
Right, so can we expand in that area, because that'll all be open then, and now it's expanding south, which is kind of where every commissioner wants this to go.
Which we need.
Say that again?
We'll lose all of that parking in the parking lot as well.
Just those 16 spots,
Right.
but I'm proposing putting it on your north side. So see those 16 spots that I'm talking about getting rid of? I want to move them to the north of the building.
Move these guys here.
Simpson.
Parking
Hey, just go
where
over there,
the
just
new
tell-
pavement, proposed pavement's gonna be.
All right, let me, here, we'll try and
I
expedite.
don't even know if you can get turnarounds in there.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head if it would.
I understand that, but I just want to, if we took this and basically put, let's say there's 16 spots here, and we put parking all over here, there's no dock door, nothing here. All right, so people are parking, I don't have to worry about headlights for these neighbors. This is wide open. They're backing into here and finding a way in, so they'll be able to figure it out here. What I'm getting at is this whole area then can be expanded for dock doors, or whatever you were trying to do.
Well, there is a dock door here now.
Okay, so then you should put another one here.
That's the entry door to the building,
Okay.
to this building. That's our entry door right there. This is the gas meter where you got this is the gas meter, and the electric all comes in here.
No, so it's not something you guys don't even want to entertain?
No, I couldn't.
Okay.
You gotta think of the two warehouses as two separate parts of the business, and manufacturing and warehousing, and we're going with our manufacturing product through warehousing, disrupting warehousing, and driving out on the parking lot.
When we bought the building and we saw this, the original plans for this building that we got, there was a proposed dock door in this location we were proposing on the drawings. So the company before us was going to do the same thing. They had to have a plan to get it out of this building by backing up to it. So they set up this precast actually perfectly for this application. But they obviously either for some reason, I don't know, they didn't do it. So, but I mean, I looked at all of this so many different ways, and it's the only thing that we can think of. It's the only place on the property we can expand to at this property.
So I have another Couple questions. Like the width of, what is the width of that dock from the north wall to the retaining wall? Like the paved area? From the north wall
Paved?
to the retaining wall?
Be paved?
Yeah. What's that width of
I
that?
have it off the top of my head.
It's about 45 feet, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's 20 feet to the easement, and then to the building, it's likely another 10 feet.
About,
And then to the next building, it's probably 15 feet.
it's about 40 or 50 feet?
Something like that, yes.
So, and then what's the width of the garage, the new dock door that you're putting on?
I believe it's 9 feet.
So do we need,
Correct.
9 by 12.
of course, when the neighbors are seeing that we're paving up to about 5 feet of their property line, I'm just wondering, does it have to be 40 or so feet? Could it be something more like 20 feet off, like width? Or even, maybe even
You're
less?
saying move the asphalt, bring the asphalt in?
Yeah, so, and like the retaining wall or whatever, like, I know that there's an existing retaining wall that could stay, but just, I think some of the neighbors might be concerned that we're bringing noise with the pavement up within about 5 feet of their property line, which sound-wise probably won't make much of a difference. I do have a thought of like, what if you did do a
4 feet to do it to 5 feet from the property line?
Sorry?
Is that what you're saying? Come back off 5 feet?
I think he's saying just bring it to the building where the asphalt is and not have the extra asphalt going towards the single-family house.
How you guys doing too, by the way?
How you doing?
Like, personally, I kind of would like it if the village had like a table in the middle.
Yeah, it'd be easier, yeah.
Right.
Because you're on that side.
Let me see. So, I was wondering, what's this distance from here to here? Now, this is 20 feet, right? I believe there was a 20-foot dimension.
I think that's like 15.
Okay, so yeah, we're close to either at least 35 feet maybe from here to here.
Right.
I was wondering, I mentioned about a canopy. What if there was a canopy here, a wall here, and that you actually tuck your trucks behind a wall, like that it's like sound-wise it's enclosed, that you have a wall that comes up to a roof, and that you're tucking your trucks into like a contained area now. It's not
a loading bay.
right.
But you would still have the sound. There is no sound differential. You won't lose, do you have a building here, you mean?
Pretty much.
Well, there's gonna be a truck here, and this is gonna load off to the truck, like a flatbed.
Not, well, yeah, but.
Yeah, we would pull a flatbed in here, bring our truck in here.
So two
bring
trucks.
the peep out, right, and you just load this. The flatbed has no noise. This would just land on the truck, and then they'd pull this out. You know what I'm saying? That's why we needed it the width.
Let me see.
2 trailers side by side.
I did not know that it was 2 trailers side by side.
No, there's just, yeah, well, this is a truck to the dock with a boom on it, and it'll just crane it right off to this truck. Takes it off here and it just lands.
Some of this material can't just be forklift onto a flatbed.
Yeah, there's no forklifts.
Can you explain, I guess in the microphone, what you're talking about with the 2 trucks side by side?
So basically, what would happen is if you look at, let me go to
You want me to bring up the slide?
the slide drawing.
You need architectural or the site plan?
The site, no, with
The photograph?
there you go, right there. See where it says East
Jeff,
Warehouse Loading?
Jeff, can you
That's the
switch
plan.
to the computer, please? Sorry.
I'm sorry, you got it up there?
Maybe. There we go.
That's a flatbed. That's a 45-foot flatbed. What we do is we take the pipe out of here, we load it on, and this is a 1 day, usually it takes a day, maybe a day and a half to load this from the building, just to get it there and there with 5 guys. This, what we're gonna do is we're gonna back that in up here, and our boom truck comes in by the dock, oh, right here.
Could you use mouse?
Yeah.
Oh, how about this one? You see that?
We'll have to switch, but move the mouse around, it should pop up.
Oh, Oh, yeah,
There you
so
go.
we got the mouse technology, right? So this would back in right here. And then our boom truck would be here. The pipe will come out, they grab it, and they swing it right onto the truck with 2 men. And this would probably be done in 3 hours.
Right? Sorry,
Be a lot less noise, a lot less intrusion out here. This is just all nonstop. This makes a lot of noise by your property. So, we want to eliminate this activity. That's what this project's about. And again, it's all about safety. I had 3 guys get hurt doing this. And we got to do something different. We're trying to, this is what we thought is our only option. We knew it was designed to have a dock door here, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're understanding how the trucks get loaded. Like normally a truck backs up to a loading dock, and if you're loading something from inside the building, it gets loaded right in through the back of the truck.
Well, what some of this stuff is fabricated pipe, and it's got all these different sets in it, so it has to be picked up with like a crane.
sure. But, I mean,
Straps in order to load it onto the flatbed correctly, right? Sometimes we could put the flatbed there. If it's straight runs of pipe, we could put it there and load it up relatively easy, but as you stack it, you need to have a crane to stack it. And that's what that's about.
Got it.
So it'll come out of the door, and the crane will just pick it right out of the building and safely land it on the truck, 2 guys, and that's how it's done. It's a lot less time and effort, and it's just safer.
So it's more efficient, but it still involves, noise, it sounds like.
Well, the noise mitigation, is a plan that I have to work out with the neighbors and willing to do so. Timelines, we can schedule better, we can do a lot.
Communication,
I
partnership.
mean, one neighbor mentioned that promises weren't kept, but we haven't gotten that far yet, we're working on it. We know that we can do this. I know the dumpster issue that they're worried about, I talked about earlier. I'm all over that. We're gonna schedule that properly and get that straightened out. Even I agree with that, so. But at the business side of it, this is what we need to do, and there is gonna be sound either way.
I would,
Like I said,
yeah, I would, sorry, were you gonna say more?
excuse me?
I just interrupted you. Were you gonna say more? Or-
No, I think I said enough. You got the idea.
Sorry. Like, I almost want to use, like, this bit of land that you have to the north of this building. I'd like to know is, like, can we make this all inside? Like, just so that all the noise is contained inside and is not going out beyond. I would rather that you do, like, yeah, and like an enclosed dock, and then you put, and I've seen them, you could have a crane running on the ceiling, so maybe that could take the place of what boom that you're doing, like, so that then you can move your material around and drop it down on like.
I mean, on the whole north side of the building?
Maybe, I know, it's costly, but like.
Additional building?
In addition.
A big addition to the building, yeah. And then putting a crane in the ceiling, and I'm trying to keep all the noise inside, so it's not going outside. And then you wouldn't have your neighbors complaining.
It'd be expensive.
It is expensive.
Crane on the roof.
Pardon?
That would be.
Expensive.
The only thing I'll mention based on that is that the building would have to be 30 feet from the north property line per setback requirements.
Yeah, I mean, we can go against the fence.
And I
Take a while.
think I want to bring up too that the noise that is created by loading that flatbed is a lot less, it's more sporadic than the warehousing trucks coming in, the dumpsters being emptied, I think.
Sorry, say that again?
The dumpsters being emptied is a noisy thing, and then also too, the regular deliveries and shipments that come out of the west warehouse. Still having that noise and only mitigating noise that's only going to be happening sporadically, like I think John said, might have a couple days a week or might have 2 weeks with no loading of those flatbeds.
We could have 2 months with nothing.
So to spend the money on an addition, which might not be possible would kind of be just, it would negate the project moving forward.
I'm just thinking of ideas to help you guys.
No, yeah, because we thought about that too, but.
If you did a crane up in the ceiling, like above whatever truck that you're pulling in, you wouldn't need two trucks side by side then, or would you?
We would need it wider than the building. We would need it almost the same distance in order to get an overhead crane in there to work properly. It's just not because it has to go back and forth, travel back and forth to load the truck, right?
Or what if there was? I mean, I don't know your operations. I think we're all getting too involved in it. But if you had like an overhead crane on the inside of your existing building?
See that as a feasibility. That's a $2 million project.
Sure.
And you're still going to have noise.
Commissioner Lynn, I think we take it as the proposal that's in front of us and take the votes accordingly.
I know, I should just take a step back.
I think we're repeating it and coming up with it's their proposal. I understand what you're trying to do. I think at some point, though, we have all the same concerns and balancing act that we're doing.
Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Charleston?
Well, so the question, so you mentioned you looked at a lot of different alternatives, and obviously what you need is a fourth dock, right? Did you look at adding and figuring out a way to add a fourth dock immediately to the south of the three that were in place? Immediately to the south.
I didn't hear you.
There's already an open, it's not a dock, it's a garage door, I believe.
Well, there's three
docks, and then
there's
the dock, then it comes up, there's a door for a person to come in, and then there's another garage opening.
So, but it was one of the things you looked at, sort of reconfiguring that particular piece of the building. So there could be a fourth door so that you could actually do your...
We actually have 4 doors right now.
Okay. So
this is the fifth, yeah.
This would be the fifth, yeah.
You have a picture of that for the...
I do have one. I do not have the HDMI cable.
Okay.
So give me 1 second. You hand it to me. I think I need the whole thing. It should just pull out.
Give him the gray cord.
Yeah, pull the whole thing.
It's connected to my dais, so.
Yeah, you're good.
That's all?
Yes.
Because I drove by it today, and I probably should have taken my own pictures.
Jeff, if we can change to my computer, please. This might take a second.
I don't understand why they can't just...
Thank you. 1, 2, 3, and then that fourth. Then the door going in, then the fourth. Okay. And that grade goes down, as I recall.
Yeah, there's a...
Yeah.
Oop.
So the trucks can back up to it. Yeah, no, I
Yep.
see it. Yeah, I remember it. Yep. What? So tell me about that door and that garage that's immediately it's right. So there's a door that goes into that space, right?
The houses
Is there a wall between the space to the left to the right, or is it just the door that goes in?
No.
No, just open.
It's just the door that goes in.
All that is the front end warehouse operational space.
Okay.
That's all racks and materials for the business.
Like right now, yeah. So, so it's just the door that goes in and the space is open. So, yeah, I'm loath, obviously, we have a proposal in front of us. I'm loath to try to suggest that you should do something else that without knowing what that costs you or what that means to you, without you understanding what that means, right? And so same with the idea about looking at the east side of the building and sort of the southeast side of the building. I'm loath to suggest that you should look at that, but as loath as I am to do that, I am persuaded that the immediate property uses to your north have legitimate concerns, and that the new use and the new door would create tangible negative impacts to them. Tangible negative impacts to them. I get as well that it would become a more efficient operation because you wouldn't have to bring all your pipes and stuff through the warehouse and out to the parking lot and load them out there, and it takes more time, and I get your point. It's a more efficient operation that way, and there's a smaller period of time where there's noise. I'm sensitive to all of those arguments, but I am particularly sensitive to residents of Westmont. And so, John, you mentioned the idea of them looking at the feasibility of finding, another alternative other than just looking at the far north end of that building. And for me, I'm going to encourage you to look at the feasibility of looking at other alternatives, and if they are prohibitively expensive, lay them out so that as commissioners, we can understand what that means to you, right? Because right now we don't understand what that means to you. We just don't. We're being offered one proposal. So again, I don't want to tell you what to look at because I haven't been in the building. I'm not going to talk about the construction cost of doing anything else. But I will tell you that I am, there are tangible negative impacts to the residents immediately to your north, to the proposal that's in front of me.
I agree. I think, and I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I think it should be postponed to look at different options or a feasibility study. That there's just, in my opinion, that's way too close to the houses there for all of that. That's
And if a motion to continue this is made and voted on, that's fine. The applicant can also say, we're not interested in looking at other alternatives, or you feel like you've looked at them and they're not feasible, and you'd rather just have a vote one way or the other and get in front of the village board. So you can also let this commission know what your preference is. The commission may ignore it, but at least you can let this commission know.
Yeah.
I mean, we put a lot of thought into this project. I'd have to let John make that decision if he'd want to take a vote and go to the village board or not, but that's up to him.
Sure. We're just going to save you a little bit of time here. I mean, if you want to take,
No, the other options are actually not feasible.
Okay.
They're just not.
Okay.
I mean, if you came to the building, I could walk you through why, but in the end, it's, I looked at every option that I could here to make it right. I don't see any others. And the building's original design was 4-door, I don't know. I gotta get stuff out of the building. It's the shortest, safest route. As far as the loading that we're doing, the safety is really a concern to our company and our people. We're in construction, we're in business. There's gonna be noise, I understand. It can be mitigated, but
Sure. Do me a favor. I'm sorry. We want to make sure the microphone can't pick you up.
But
That might not get it.
it'd be mitigated to the best of our abilities, but as I said, there's more noise loading it out in the parking lot than there is what we're gonna do at the side of the building. So that's not gonna go away, it'll just be, it'll be the same or worse. So I mean, like I said, it's,
Your proposal in particular impacts 445, 449, and 453. Those three houses. Because those are the houses immediately along that driveway, or that proposed driveway. Each of those residences shown up today to talk about that.
I respect that as well.
Yeah, no, I know. And look, again, I just want to make clear, I get what you're trying to accomplish, and it's entirely appropriate what you're trying to accomplish. But there is a rock and a hard place here because you have residential and immediately to your north, and they have families and children, and they have they have some rights with respect to expectations about sound and activity and all the other stuff in their lives. So this is a rock and a hard place for me. This is particularly hard.
Commissioner Thomas?
Okay, so my question to the chairman and our lawyer, where does that leave us? To go on, or to leave it the way it is, vote on what it is, and then what does that allow the residents options when they are woken up and there's a quote violation or perceived violation or whatever it is? What's that leave them?
It sounds like, to the commissioner's comment, noise is going to happen from this use no matter what. It sounds like the petitioner would like to have a vote on this and move it forward. And you can honor that, or you can say, you know what, we'd like you to present something in writing about the alternatives and why they either are feasible or are not feasible, and continue this. That's up to you guys. So I think what the chairman can do is ask for a motion to recommend approval and a second, and if someone wants to make a motion to continue, that would trump the pending motion. The commission would vote on the motion to continue first. If it passes, then the matter is continued to the next meeting. If it fails, then you vote on the original motion for this proposal.
And to be clear, if it's continued, petitioner still has the right to go as is to the village board?
The petitioner can come back and, provide information that you don't think's great and ask you to vote on it.
But a vote to continue precludes their right to go immediately to the village board.
Yes, it would still come back to this commission next month.
Okay. As opposed to a no vote, which would mean that they could go to the village board immediately with a recommendation against.
Right. And the neighbors have the right to show up at the village board meeting and speak your mind. Scott, just historically, what was built first, the residential houses or this building?
I believe the residential houses were built first based on aerial imagery. This was around, I'm hearing yeses, I think. That's based on aerial imagery, it's not building permits or anything like that. I do just want to mention, related to the tree, I do think that that tree that is straddling the property line needs to be re-examined by the forester instead of our third-party landscape reviewer. Just based on how the code reads for tree protection fencing. There's a may be required section, not a shall. And I do not feel comfortable with our landscaper making that determination from a third party and not our forester or staff.
Okay.
My suggestion just with the commissioners is they've asked to move forward. If you don't have enough information and that would sway which way you vote that way, but we're the advising body, the governing body comes next, goes to the trustees, so I think we'd put down what you want to highlight on it for them to look at. And
if they're not going to change anything, then it's not worth continuing.
Correct, that's what I'm saying. If they've already gone through it, like they said, in my estimation, I don't think that would make sense if they're not looking for any, if they said they've gone through the alternatives, it doesn't make sense. But also we're the advising body, not the deciding body, so.
So you're saying just vote yea or nay?
I mean, I could do a quick straw poll if someone wants to continue, but even if next month we're at the same spot where you don't want to vote for it, it still goes to the next Board of Trustees for the final decision making, so.
Right, so
The only thing I'll mention is sometimes they can present reasoning behind their decisions in more detail that could play into discussions from the commission at a continuation meeting.
Well, I'd agree, but their
However,
responses
correct,
indicated that.
yes.
they
However, regardless, after any vote here, it goes to the board for final. If it's a negative or a positive vote, a recommending vote, a continuation would be required to come back.
Go to the board or continuation?
I mean, if we get a continuation to have the same conversation, is that what you're asking?
Well, is it going to be the same conversation?
Well, I mean, the only thing that we can do is in this location. What else can I do?
That's fine.
But
I mean, being honest, I understand what you're saying, and I
because
respect that.
you could look at the east side of the building, and you could look at that.
I could look at it, I can spend a lot of time on it, you're right, and I can delay this, and it won't probably be built there, because it won't. You're gonna have the same problem on that side of the building.
And that's fine, I respect that.
I mean,
What you're saying is you're precluding those other options at this moment.
That's quite a civil, it's gonna affect quite an area on the retention area. I don't.
Yeah, it's funny, our next item did a lot of work on a retention area to get it done.
I get it.
So, the drive as well, I mean, would be affected, AutoNation.
So,
truck turnarounds.
okay, based on that, are there any other questions from commissioners to staff or the applicant or petitioner? Okay, the chair would accept a motion to recommend to the Village Board of Trustees to approve a request from the Trudy Family LLC for the property at 430 Plaza Drive, Westmont, Illinois, 60559 for a major site plan for a new loading dock.
Motion?
Motion Peterson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second Thomas. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Charleston?
No.
Commissioner Simpson?
No.
Commissioner Thomas?
No.
Commissioner Peterson votes no, and Commissioner Lynn?
Yeah, no.
Scott, when is the next meeting for the Board of Trustees that they want?
The next potential meeting is September 3rd.
September 3rd.
Thursday.
Is it for sure on that agenda?
No, we do not, I'm not in control of the agenda, it's all tentative.
Yeah, it's all set by the administration department.
That's all available online as
Yeah,
well?
whenever an agenda is posted, it's available on the
Friday before?
website. Typically the Friday before for planning and zoning, and typically at least 2 days before for village board.
So you guys will be in contact with the petitioner, and then for everyone else that's here from the residents, the next spot would be the Board of Trustees. Just keep your eye out on it. It'll be one of those for anyone else that wants to attend.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, public hearing PZC 026-2026, a request from the Village of Westmont for the properties at 6015 South Cass Avenue, 6101 South Cass Avenue, and 1000 Fenenford Lane, Westmont, Illinois 60559, for the following: an amended zoning ordinance variance to the maximum size and fuel type of an emergency generator, and second, an amended major site plan to accommodate the relocation of an emergency generator to the south side of the fire station. Ask the petitioners to identify themselves and move forward with their presentation.
Virgil Viscuso, Village of Westmont, Public Works Supervisor.
Tom Frank, Deputy Chief for the Fire Department.
As we came in a few months ago, we talked about generator size, location, everything. Before we had all the comments back from the electrical engineers, we were trying to go for the max size. Well, we finally got everything back from the engineers, and we're a little bit bigger than we thought. Unfortunately. We're trying to hold our 72-hour window for backup generator. So what we proposed before is now 3 inches shorter than what we were promised, and then 2 inches wider, but it's also 8 inches higher than the current one that we proposed last time. We are also proposing a different location.
We were back in this corner originally, if you guys remember from when we first started it. We've moved it over to here, so we're not anywhere near any of our neighbors anymore.
Well, that
It was
nice.
in the back corner. We were 20 feet off of the resident's lot line. Now the closest resident lot line is 180 feet. So all the Screening will still be the same, everything will still be the same. We're just moving the location a little bit closer to Cass Avenue.
Sound attenuation still the same.
Any questions?
Staff report, Mr. Williams. This
Yes,
one's
thank you, Chair. They've already mentioned the background a little bit, but we had approvals in March 19, 2026, under ordinance 2026-039. It was a consolidation for the properties. It was also rezoning to public institutional districts and a site plan, as well as a variance request for the generator. They mentioned kind of the timeline of the changes and everything like that. As you probably know, the building's no longer there. It was demoed. The plans for the generator have changed slightly due to the electrical needs on the property. The new location, for zoning purposes, actually reduces kind of the requests. So previously, they had a request for the size, fuel type, and location. Now the location is within the buildable area of the property. So it's considered within the correct setbacks from the property line. So that's no longer technically part of the request. The fuel type is still the same. So they're still needing a variance for the fuel type, and then which is the diesel rather than natural gas. And then the size is also above our maximum requirement, which our maximum requirement is 30 square feet and 5 feet in height. Their proposal is, was it 26 feet in length, 8 feet in width, and 11 feet in height. Additionally, with the new location, we did have them request a site plan amendment to go along with this, so we can get the landscaping in the correct location on the site plans, as well as the new location for the generator. So the generator is being placed just east of the new sign that's, I think, already out there, I believe.
Yeah,
it's getting finished up, I think. And then it's also about 180 feet from those residential properties now, and there's also a fence there, screening. And then there'll be additional landscaping on some of the buffer areas around those residential homes. So in the perspective of the planning, this is a much better location for the generator, so it has less impact. And also the screening is substantial in the situation. So in addition to that, as was mentioned in the last meeting, some of the requirements are so that they can have those 72-hour fuel capacity requirements as required by the critical operations power systems for the building, so that it can operate when or if there's a natural disaster of any kind that cuts off utilities. So I'm happy to answer any questions related to this from the commission and as well as the public.
Okay, would like to hear any comments from the public that you might have related to this. Is there someone here? Please feel free to come to the microphone. If you could state your names.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Muhammad Azim. I'm a resident at 924 Benenford Lane.
I'm Sadiqa Razvi. I'm also in 924 Benenford Lane, and it's right adjacent to this proposed generator.
Good evening, Commissioner and Chairman. I want to begin by saying that I support our fire department and I support having reliable emergency power at the new fire station. I understand why a backup generator is important for a critical public safety facility. Our concern is specifically about the proposed diesel generator and the requested zoning variance, given its location immediately next to an established residential neighborhood. Westmont's current zoning ordinance allows standby generators using natural gas or propane and establishes requirements for their location, noise mitigation, sound attenuation, and screening. The proposal asks the Commission to approve an exception for a diesel generator as well as an amended site plan. As a homeowner at 924 Benenford Lane, I believe we deserve to understand exactly what impact this exception will have on our homes before it is approved. I respectfully ask the Commission to address 5 specific issues. Firstly, noise. What will the actual decibel level be at our property line when the generator is operating? We would like to see a professional noise analysis, not just the manufacturer's rating. Secondly, the generator testing. The generator will have to be tested and exercised. What days and hours will that occur? Will the village agree to prohibit routine testing during nighttime and other quiet hours? Third, diesel exhaust. Where exactly will the exhaust stack be located? How high will it be and what direction will it be discharged? I would like the village to demonstrate that the exhaust has been designed to minimize impacts on the neighboring homes. Fourth, diesel fuel storage. How many gallons of diesel will be stored on the property specifically for this generator? What secondary containment and spill prevention measures will be provided? Finally, I ask why diesel is necessary. If natural gas or propane generators are the normal standard under Westmont zoning ordinance, what specific operational requirements makes diesel necessary for this fire station? I'm not asking the commission to compromise the fire department's ability to respond to emergencies. I'm asking the emergency preparedness and protection of the neighboring residents both be taken seriously. If the village can demonstrate that the generator will have minimal noise and exhaust impacts and can provide enforceable protections for the surrounding homeowners, we're willing to consider that. I respectfully ask that the commission not approve the variance tonight without first receiving adequate information regarding noise, exhaust, fuel storage, testing, and without putting enforceable conditions on the approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything, Miss, would you like to?
I just second him, the same things,
Okay.
the same points.
I'm going to invite the petitioners to come back up here. I do want you just to be aware, they did present beforehand, so a lot of these questions were, they've answered previously, but you're here, and I think they can answer a number of them because they've answered it for the commission before.
Sure. We can start out with answering about the diesel.
So the diesel, the reason we chose diesel is if any natural disasters happen where a pipeline or a natural gas is interrupted in the service, we do not have power. We do not provide any emergency services. So for us to have diesel on site, it moves a lot smoother, and we control when the generator can be running and whatnot.
If, like he's saying, if there was a natural disaster, earthquake, and the pipeline's broken, if we have diesel, we can still bring trucks in to fill that generator up and keep it running. With the pipeline broken, then it's done until we can get that pipeline fixed.
And was there a code requirement or recommendation about having 72 hours of continuous power, and you can only truly meet that with the diesel generator?
Copa, was it? There was a...
Tops.
There was an initial.
Scott read it off a second ago.
Critical operation power systems.
Right. So the fire station not only operates as a fire station, it's also a warming and cooling center as well. So during those times, we want to keep that building operational. So that's why we're asking for that.
So natural gas and propane doesn't do the job for like that long of a time?
No, it would. But the reason we're going with diesel was the ones before. In case of a natural disaster, we want to be able to control how and when that gets filled.
Sorry, like I think, did you mention before that you have like diesel, like diesel on site, like you have your own filling station?
Correct. Currently, right now, we have 8,000 we have 4,000 gallons of diesel, and we have 4,000 gallons of gasoline in the ground at that site. So in the case of an emergency, we can pump from our tanks into the generator. This is much easier than where it was before.
I'm just...
To answer your questions about...
How about the spilling? In case of a leak or spilling?
Yeah, like would there be a dike or anything like that?
So it's all contained into the foundation of the generator itself, as is our tanks underground. That's all contained in a certain... The tanks in ground have a double wall. The tank for the generator will have a steel thickened wall with, I believe it's a double wall on it too. So it contains all that stuff.
And their change in location definitely benefits you guys over there. It's much further away than it was when we first asked for the variance. We do think that it's a much better location for us and for you guys. As far as it running and when would we run it?
So currently right now with the village, with all of our generators throughout the village, we run them on a Tuesday. We run them for an hour. It's at 10 o'clock in the morning. We do a no load test on Tuesday. We do a full load test on Wednesday. Same time, same hour stretch. It's run once a week. That's it. We load test once a month.
Any contamination to the water supply or anything to the neighbors?
There should be no contamination whatsoever.
I just want to reiterate, there's already existing diesel and gasoline on site that's already there. So with this being added, can you talk, you said I think 4,000 gallons of each?
Yeah.
What is the capacity for the generator?
The generator, we were just trying to look for that information. It was on the last one.
You can try.
Thanks.
Good luck with that one.
No, that's going to be a tough one.
I want to say, try and look, I want to say it was between 500 and 600 gallons in the tank.
Okay. It's just over 10% additional than what's already there diesel-wise.
Correct.
And just to clarify this, so a full tank gives you 72 hours.
Correct.
And you have almost 10 times more at your own pump station, so in theory, we can go a month if we're at a full diesel tank in the event of a disaster, whereas most people would get 3 days.
And the other
Be more
reason,
prepared than others.
sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
The other reason we chose diesel too is that, God forbid something happens and we need to operate for more than that month, we can pull diesel out of all of our trucks. Our trucks can fuel that. You know, it's very readily available to us, whereas we have to rely on somebody else for propane and we have to rely on somebody else for natural gas.
As far as sound goes, is it, to compare to like a diesel truck, is it anything like a diesel truck or quieter or louder?
It'll probably be similar to a diesel truck.
Okay, just to give them an idea.
Yeah.
That was,
Was the existing generator a diesel generator?
It was not.
It was not, it was natural gas. And in terms of natural gas, I'm not aware, are you guys aware, has there ever been a disruption in the delivery of natural gas?
Not that I'm aware of.
I couldn't say that, but, you know, Illinois, as much as you wouldn't think it is in a fault zone.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Gotta try to
It's this-
prepare for these
yeah.
things.
Because my recollection of the last meeting was that you guys were, you know, you had asked for the approval to put the diesel generator in place, but you guys were still looking very, very hard at the natural gas solution. And in fact, my recollection was this, somebody said leaning towards. And so, and part of the attraction to the natural gas solution is it's uninterrupted. It's utterly uninterrupted, right? And so I was curious if there was a natural gas solution that for whatever reason was it either more expensive or did it not provide as much generation as you needed to run the entire facility, or what was sort of, if you were still looking at natural gas, you know, why has it been precluded at this point?
Yeah, honestly, the reason that we're moving from natural gas is just that reason that the diesel is more flexible for us. We feel that we could not rely on anybody else, just like he's telling us that we're in control of how much diesel we can get there and when we can get it there.
Provided you can go buy diesel, yes.
Provided, well, we do have a giant tank right next to us that we can run for about a month.
About a
But yes,
month.
no,
About
I
a month.
understand what you're saying.
But
I think we
a true
looked at
natural
it.
disaster, you know, the refineries may all be on fire, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so.
To stand to the noise out of the natural gas that we had currently or previously at the firehouse, we have natural gas at Public Works. That generator is 100 times louder than the one at the police department. The police department one is whisper quiet, sitting next to residential on the north side of it, versus the one at Public Works. Public Works one you can almost hear from Cass Avenue.
What does the police department run on?
That's, sorry, that police department is diesel.
It's what?
It's diesel.
Oh, okay.
They're saying the natural
Yeah, you can barely hear that.
Yeah.
Does the manufacturer provide decibel estimations for running that generator?
They do.
They did, and what are they?
I believe last time, what was it, Scott?
I'm looking.
Test versus the full load?
I can throw you in on the fuel while he's looking that up.
Yeah.
We're at 10,000 liters
Okay.
for in the tank.
2,600 gallons, if you
I
wonder.
was trying to
Conversion, Scott.
That's fantastic, Scott. Thank you for that metric.
It's funny that we're the only ones using the English system these days.
They still use miles in England.
Actually, no, I use kilometers.
Do I not have
All their signs.
What is this one?
I should say it's
Just waiting on decibels,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Had it for the last one.
Good one. Have it in the minutes.
I currently don't have it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, appreciate you guys moving it away from, moving it into the site, though. It just, I get it. Hopefully, whoever you're buying this from is selling you a nice, quiet diesel generator, akin to the police station.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, the residents had also asked about the exhaust. Like, how, like, at what height is it being emitted?
So the exhaust will be at the tippy top of the generator, which is 11 feet, 11.2, and it is directed straight up. So anything that comes out of it will come straight down, provided that the wind is not blowing in any other directions. It is.
So wind from the west to the east will obviously blow that towards the residential area.
Yeah.
Wind north to south will not, and likewise east to west will not, right? But
Correct.
anything west and particularly southwest is probably going to blow some of that exhaust into the residential area. But you're running it middle of the day on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Right, which is the same schedule we had for the current generator that's on site.
Correct, that was natural gas.
Just to be clear, the generator's only on when the power goes out, I guess.
Correct.
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 And then during the test. That's it.
Is there a reason why you didn't choose this location the first time? Just curious.
That is an excellent question.
Great questions, Commissioner Lynn.
That's a great
It was actually bidded as an alternate when we bid the project, and then when we found out how much the savings was, we were moving the generator.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you try to hide your mechanicals, and that's kind of our backyard, and there's fencing, and you try to keep it off of your public way.
Okay.
But then when we looked at different alternatives, this is what we thought was better.
Thank you.
In terms of impact, what power outages have there been, let's say, in the last 10 years? So
You know what, sir, can you come up to the microphone just so?
just wanted to know, in terms of like trying to figure out how often this might have to turn on, how many power outages have there been in the last, say, like 10 years where something like this would have to turn on?
How often has the power gone on the fire station?
And for like how long?
Yeah. I've been at the village for 2 years. We've only had it happen once in those 2 years. I couldn't give you back further than that, though.
I've been in charge of facilities now for about 2 years. In charge of fleet for a lot longer, but I've maybe a handful of times in that past 10 years.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay. Having heard from all interested members of the public, I will now close the public comment portion for PZC 026-2026. No further testimony from the public will be taken on this matter. Let's go to the commissioners. Any commissioners have questions that they didn't already pose?
Nope.
No? Okay. I'm closing public hearing for this item then. We'll ask for separate motions since there are 2 items on here. The chair would accept a motion to recommend to the Village Board of Trustees to approve a request from the Village of Westmont for the properties at 6015 South Cass Avenue, 6101 South Cass Avenue, and 1000 Benford Lane, Westmont, Illinois 60559, for an amended zoning ordinance variance to the maximum size and fuel type of an emergency generator.
So moved.
Commissioner Charleston moves.
Second.
Second by
Thomas.
Commissioner Thomas. Secretary Peterson, if you do the roll call.
Commissioner Charleston?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson votes yes. Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
We'll move on to the next item. The chair would accept a motion to recommend to the Village Board of Trustees to approve a request from the Village of Westmont for the properties at 6015 South Cass Avenue, 6101 South Cass Avenue, and 1000 Benford Lane, Westmont, Illinois 60559, for an amended major site plan to accommodate the relocation of an emergency generator to the south side of the fire station. Is there a motion?
Charleston.
Charleston. Is there a second?
Second. Thomas.
Second, Commissioner Thomas. Madam Secretary, if you do roll call, please.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes?
Commissioner Thomas?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson votes yes. Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
And Commissioner Charleston?
Yes.
Okay. Be on the next agenda or Scott will tell you the next.
Just so they know, this is scheduled for the village board for next week on Thursday, the 20th.
Next is an open forum. Public comment rules and procedures set forth in Chapter 2, Section 2-66 of the Westmont Code of Ordinances is allowed. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment? Anyone on Zoom? Anyone there? Okay, move on to miscellaneous items. There is a special joint village board and planning and zoning commission date that will be for Wednesday, August 26th at 6 p.m., but it will take place at the police department, so note it is not here. The staff has any more details they'd like to share about this meeting?
Yes, so this joint commission meeting is with the village board. It is to discuss kind of the kickoff for the comprehensive plan update, as well as the same firm is doing our downtown master streetscape plan, and then they're also doing a parking study for the downtown as well. We are contracted with Housel Levine. So we had a different consultant that was approved that we terminated with, and we went with the second choice, which was Housel Levine and Associates. So they'll be facilitating that discussion. Staff will be there. I'm told there might be treats there, so might be treats.
Bring your own candy.
It's making sure I
Bring my
show
own
up.
candy.
It'll be at the police station. We'll get you more information. If you need to park somewhere, I need to figure out where you guys can park and can't park over there.
Work at the library.
We don't
I gotta
get
make
police-
sure
no
we
police
can.
escorts. No police escorts, apparently.
So that'll be with the village board of trustees. We haven't done one of these in quite a while. I think since 2021, a joint commission. So it's pretty exciting stuff. They'll ask you some questions. There'll be it's kind of like a workshop. So there'll be more information coming your way. You won't get a staff report or anything like that. You'll likely just get the agenda, which will be pretty bare bones.
Great.
I'd also like to add that as a special joint board meeting, we still do need to have a quorum, so please don't leave if you haven't confirmed your attendance with me already. So we want to make sure that everyone is here, but we need at least 4 like we needed tonight, so thanks.
Did I see an email that was looking at a different date? The 20th?
We were originally considering 2 different dates, and then after speaking with the village board, we decided that the best day for both commissions to meet on a regular weekday for planning and zoning and for the village board was to be on a Wednesday.
Okay.
So that's why the 26th has been selected as
Is the
official date.
26th?
It
okay.
is the 26th.
We got overruled. Our dates worked. The village board said, no, we're doing their dates.
Okay.
Council, do you have anything for announcements?
No.
A happy birthday to fellow Commissioner Thomas.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
And with that, the chair would accept...
We have one more
We
thing.
have a couple more announcements,
All right.
actually.
You gotta, come on.
I apologize.
So I'll try to keep it quick. The first thing I want to notify you is that the APA, that's the American Planning Association, the Illinois chapter is having their yearly conference at the end of September, beginning of October. And as a part of that, they have a plan commissioner training that they host every year. So we definitely encourage you all to Consider it. The conference is being held in Evanston. I believe the date is on Thursday, October 1st. The program hasn't been officially published for the conference, but we'll share more information once available. And again, we encourage you all to attend. If not, there is another virtual opportunity for Thursday, August 27th at noon. So right after our joint board meeting. The purpose of it is also hosted by the Illinois chapter of the APA, is more of a chairperson's role of how to help facilitate meetings, to help communicate planning principles with the public like we did tonight with the site plan, as well as being a recruiter to make sure that the commission stays strong, especially as there's turnover on there. So as was established at the last meeting, each of you might have your turn at being the vice chair or the acting chair like Commissioner Simpson. So it is worth checking out if you're available to. Again, it's during the day and it is a free session, and we'll share more information about that as well. But that's all the staff announcements for tonight.
Staff would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Charleston, is there a second?
Second, Thomas.
Second, Commissioner Thomas. All in favor, say aye. 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 All opposed? None? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 8:30 p.m.
Nice job, Simpson.
Thanks, Ken.